Hello and welcome to another episode of Embrace Your Outdoor Space. My name's Tommy Cross, and in this episode we're going to be looking at ways to help your garden blossom and bloom in time for spring, because let's face it, at this time of year things are looking a little bit brown, a little bit bare, but don't despair. It's time to start getting into action and looking at a few tools and a few tasks to help you get your garden blooming and blossoming brilliantly in time for spring. In this episode, we'll be looking at hanging baskets. How, where, and why should I be planting up hanging baskets? Our feathered friends and how to encourage them in the garden by brushing up your bird boxes and making happy homes for the birds. And let's not forget our furry friends too. We'll show you how you can encourage them to embrace your outdoor space with you and make some wonderful new homes for our prickly pals. So it's time to get tooled up and start tackling those tasks. Hanging baskets are a great way to add colour. Oh, for flat tyre. Back in a minute. Now, this is a familiar sight for many gardeners, especially at this time of year. We go out into the garden with great expectations. We fill our barrow to the brim, only to find that we can't push it because there's no air in the tyre. But don't worry, this isn't a result of vindictive neighbours or something nibbling and gnawing at your tyre, nor did your tyre expire over the winter. Now, this is a result of air temperature affecting air pressure. A bit like when you get into the car on a cold morning and all the tyre pressure sensors are screaming at you. This is a very worst case scenario because that barrow has been left to hibernate over the winter. Now, here's a top tip to avoid putting yourself under pressure before you load up your barrow. Check the tyre pressure. And if you do get stuck midway, or if it does need inflated, you can always inflate it manually, or personally, I prefer to.
The easy way.
All inflatables are normally embossed with their maximum PSI or bar, so you can make sure that you don't overinflate your tyres on either your car or your barrow. Now, with our tyres filled from flat to full, there's no time to hang about because we've got hanging baskets to put up. Now we come around to the front garden because the hawthorn hedgerow here sums up exactly what's going on at this time of year. It's the end of winter, start of spring, and nothing's really starting to put on a display of colour. Things are looking brown, things are looking barren, forgot that's a hawthorn hedgerow. There is very little colour apart from that pop of Hammermellis mollis at the background there. But just look how your eyes are drawn to that. And it's great to get that much needed and much welcome colour into your garden this time of year, and you can achieve it simply by using some bedding plants and some hanging baskets. Now, if only I had somewhere to show you how to make your own. Oh, yeah, I have, look at that. Now, in order to create your own pop of early spring colour, what you're going to need is a hanging basket, some coir liner. You can use a plastic liner, but I prefer the coir because it's free draining and actually looks prettier as well. Top tip, don't overfill your basket with compost. You can see I'm trying to leave a root ball depth below the top of my basket to my level of compost. This allows me to space things out before I start filling things in and making a final commitment to their positioning. Now, normally I would say that you should get something which is going to have really good water retaining properties in your compost. You don't need to worry too much about that this time of year because Mother Nature is more than likely to look after the plants for you. But the most important thing is the selection of plants. You're going to make sure that you're getting plants with plenty of colour, but that are frost resistant, because again, we're still at the cusp of spring. We could still get caught out by those tail end frosts, and we don't want them to endanger what we're putting into our hanging basket. So my top plants for your hanging basket are Primula or Primrose. It comes in a whole variety of all new different breeds available, incredibly frost hardy, and gives you these wonderful pops of pinks, of blues, of yellows, really cheery tones at the early spring. Now, in order to give us a little bit of texture, a little bit of colour around the peripheries, I'm going to use something like a Hedera that will tail down over the edges. Evergreen, incredibly hardy, and a lovely mixture of light, dark tones as well. Another one of my favourites are Violas. Now, Violas, despite their very soft and delicate appearance, will withstand tough frosts. These are really hardy, but throw out a fantastic display of beautiful colours. And there's one final addition to my hanging basket, and that is to give it a final flourish, a crown of beautiful yellow. And there's only one plant that's going to deliver that for us: daffodils. Before you think I've lost the plot, no, I'm not talking about your tall, leggy daffodils. I'm talking about tete-a-tetes or Juliets. These dwarf daffodils will give you that final flourish, that wonderful burst of yellow when they get into flower, and they won't be too susceptible to the high wind. So perfect for giving us a real centerpiece in the center of our hanging baskets. Now, I know it's not going to win any awards of merit, but I'm pretty pleased with that, considering it only took me about 5 minutes to put together. But what's the virtue of this? Well, you are providing early banquets of these wonderful blossoms to those early risers. When I'm talking about early risers, bees. If we get a sudden spike in temperatures in spring, at least we've got plenty out in our garden in order to make sure that our pollinators are cared for. It's also injecting colour into the garden as well, which is great for lifting your mood on grey days like this. When it comes to hanging your basket, choose a sheltered, sunny location. This will stop the wind from battering your basket. Now, if you need to hang a bracket for your basket, it may seem common sense, but when securing to the wall, look for a solid brick to attach to. During heavy rain, hanging baskets can get pretty heavy pretty quickly, so a strong anchor point is required. Drill into the center of the brick, avoiding the mortar, as this can break during drilling and weakens your anchor point. Use a hammer or combi drill to make your holes. And here's a top tip, use a piece of tape on the bit of your drill to mark the depth of your wall plug. I always allow 10 millimeters extra, just in case you choose a screw that's too long for the plug. Another top tip is to repeat the process with the drill in reverse to remove any brick dust in the middle of the hole before securing your bracket. And then finally, hang your basket and admire your handiwork. So with our spring baskets brightening our sights, what about adding a seasonal soundtrack? By fitting bird boxes and feeders, you can encourage the birds to bring the cheery chirping to your outdoor space. In fact, that sweet bird song that you hear at the start of the year roughly translates to... Don't forget, January to March is nesting and breeding season, so it's a perfect time to provide properties for those fledgling families. But like any housing market, it's all about location, location, location. Hang your boxes between north and east to provide natural protection against the wild weather and that stronger sunlight come the spring. The ideal height to hang your boxes is between 2 to 4 meters. That way the birds are protected from prowling predators. But if heights aren't your thing, you could always rope someone else in for assistance. Just like the Real Property Ladder, there are a huge variety of bird box sizes, from economy apartments used by finches and tits to premium penthouses for bigger birds like owls, woodpeckers and doves. But unlike the real property market, it's a little bit more cost effective to get onto. So if you're looking for a cheap, sorry I couldn't resist. If you are looking for a cheaper way to build a bird box, don't forget you can always check out our previous video where we make bird boxes out of old scrap and pallet wood. Now with our bird boxes secured into position, it's time to leave our feathered friends alone. But remember the golden rule, if that bird box is rocking, then don't go knocking. And there are some other happy homes that we can make in our garden, and those are down here. And for a particularly prickly customer. Just like our winged wonders on high, hedgehogs are also a gardener's best friend, but at ground level, scoffing up snails, slugs, bugs and beetles during their nocturnal noshing. So it's well worth encouraging hedgehogs to share your outdoor space with you. Of course, you could always buy a hedgehog house or have a go at building one out of timber, but I've got a great way to show you how to make a prize-winning prickly penthouse using nothing more than a few tools and an old broken pot. First, using an angle grinder, cut your plant pot straight down the middle from each side. However, if yours is already broken, use an angle grinder to clean up any broken or stray edges. Next, trace the inside edge of your pot onto a piece of old wood or scaffold board. Once you've got your line, cut your curve using a jigsaw. To create a doorway, in order so your hedgehogs can hide, use a cup and trace around that. This will give you a perfectly sized opening for access. And finally, screw or glue into place and your hedgehog hide is done. If you wanted to add some extra creature comforts, you could always lay down some straw bedding. All that's left to do is to pop your pot into a sheltered spot. And there you go, you have a terrific hedgehog hide for your prickled pals. Don't forget, if you're looking for tools to help you tackle it all, you can always check out the link at the end of the video. And if you've got any questions regarding your outdoor space, you can always shout those in the comment section down below.
I've got a question.
You've got a question?
Yeah.
Go on.
If that's all right.
Yeah?
Did you use one battery for all of the tools today?
Yes, we did. What do we use? Air compressor, angle grinder, drill, impact driver, jigsaw, circular saw.
Is the video done?
Well, if you want more, you can use it on a chainsaw.
Is the video done?
Hand vac, leaf vac, pulse saw. But for a full-on garden attack, what about a mower, blower? It'll even inflate your tyres when the pressure's lower.
I'm stopping recording.
Hedge trimmer, line trimmer,
Mate, I'm going.
even though they have a brush cutter.
See you next week.
Mate, talking of brushes, they do a brushless drill,
See you later.
brushless impact driver. There's more.